Right. Okay, so, well, here we are. It's 5th of November, which is, and it's a full moon, so it's a very good day to have a peace meeting. I've been busy all day working on my writings, and I think, you know, Protestant King James VI was not blown up on this day, so people all celebrate, but, you know, I've got mixed feelings about it. As Sally was saying, it's, we probably need to rebrand. I personally think it was because it was near Samhain, and it's the old Celtic energy of the winter's end having a celebration, which was then tacked on to this other excuse. But so what have I been up to? I'm going to do a little quick chairman's report. So I've been hard at work in the library here, having got back to France. I was in the UK for 3 weeks effectively. From the 5th of October to the 21st of October. And it was a lightning tour, but it was interesting. And I met up with you, Sally, that was great. And with Alex Spurway, who can't join us this evening because she's at Stonehenge, and Avebury doing her Druid stuff. But we had some, you know, great discussions. And I also went to Glastonbury, and I saw the White Spring, which is Glastonbury is one of our peace gardens. There's a beautiful garden there, ancient garden. So it was nice to visit. I love Glastonbury. I also went to Winchester, which is one of my favourite cities in the British Isles, where King Alfred the Great was based. So, and also to Saltdean before I came back on the ferry. So that was nice to see Sussex as well. Sally, thank you for that. We had some good chats. So then I've been doing, well, I'm working on, you know, my normal writing quota. And I've decided, I was trying to think, what should my next book be? You know, I've just finished my commentaries on the Gospels, and, you know, what's my priority? Absolutely. And I decided that the Quran can wait, my philosophical work can wait. I'm going to prioritize my autobiography because that's the only thing that only I can write. The other stuff is just like other people can do that. If I suddenly die or get cancer again in 6 months and die, this autobiography is absolutely unique. Nobody else could write it. And so I felt a moral duty to write this up. And it's okay. So here's the last volume that I published, which takes the story up to 2017. And so I'm writing the years from 2018 to this year, and I'm going to end it with Sophie's death, 2025. And it's been a hell of a ride. And the reason I can do it is because I keep a daily diary, and I have done all this time. So I can reread what I was doing on every single day in that 7-year period. And looking back, it was quite, back in 2018, 2019, I was working on about 6 or 7 books at once. You know, it's quite intensive stuff. But what's so fascinating is looking back on it all and seeing what I was doing, you know. And I think it's worth doing. And it was Socrates said, the unexamined life is not worth living. I like that quote. So I recommend everyone to keep a daily diary and write it up every 5 years. You know, look back on your life. It's like a reflection on your own life trajectory. And hopefully there's a kind of pattern emerges. Also, on the 30th of August, we had a meeting for the World Intellectual Wisdom Forum. It was only a small meeting, but it was still worth doing. We had some good chats. I think, Sean, you were there. Chris Platts was there from France. And also a lady came in from the States who's very active in their peace work. And I've been having meetings with an Islamic guy called Moeen Yassin, who is organizing an event jointly with me on the 14th of December, which he calls Interfaith Eschatology. Now, he's been very active during the Gaza catastrophe and, you know, related issues like Iran and whatever. And he wants us to talk about eschatology, which is the science of sort of prophecy, what's going to happen in the future, the end of times, etc., etc. Are we living through the end of the world? But we're going to look at it from an interfaith perspective. So I've been planning that and suggesting speakers. And I will be one of those speakers, but others are welcome to come along. And I've invited some. I mean, he's got people like foreign ministers coming. He lives in Turkey, in Istanbul. He's just been to a big conference. Jeremy Corbyn's Gaza Tribunal had its last hearings in Turkey, and there's also a big conference been going on the last week, which Erdogan, the president, has been hosting, with some very high-level people, including the former Scottish First Minister. I think he's no longer the First Minister, of Palestinian origin up in Scotland. Is he called Hamza Yusuf? I think his parents were stuck in Gaza. He was there speaking. So he's managed to get a lot of these people to agree to speak at our event on the 14th of December. I'm going to be talking about the kind of clash between world systems of eschatology, and different people want their version of reality to win. So in Islamic eschatology, Muhammad comes back, judges everyone, sinners go to hell. In the Christian one, it's the same, only Christ does the judging. And in the Jewish one, well, it's kind of difficult, so we're going to go into all that. And what about the Buddhist and the Druid and pagan ones, so that's one thing I'm planning. In Britain, when I was there, I went to the Jain conference in the House of Parliament. They had an award ceremony for Dr. Sohan Lal Gandhi, S.L. Gandhi, who'd come over from India for it especially. He got a lifetime Ahimsa Award for his work in nonviolence. Now, Geoffrey Gale, who founded this World Peace Gardens Network, he knew Dr. Gandhi. He met him in India, and one of their gardens is a member of our network, actually. And it was really nice to be back in Parliament. Personally, I'm glad they didn't blow it up. I think Parliament's a great venue to meet in. It was really amazing to meet these Jains and peace activists. I discovered there's a big centre for Jain studies at the University of Birmingham, and I met the professor up there who's running it. Some great people at that event, and dear old Dr. Gandhi. And we talked about Geoffrey. It's a shame he's no longer with us, he said. So the other thing I want to report is on the 30th of October, I did an interview with Christian Kirsch, the German guy that set up the Delphic Games and the Delphic Academy. He lives in Berlin. I think, Sean, you've met him a few times. Now, he's an older guy. He's about 80, actually. And in fact, I discovered it totally by chance. The interview was on the day before his 82nd birthday. And I'd volunteered to write up his autobiography because this guy has a bit of living history. He was the founder of the Delphic Games, and he won't be around with us much longer. And I take the view that the memoirs of these older people should be set down, as a historian. We should write this stuff up because when they die, it's all gone. So I've agreed to interview him once a month for the next 12 months for a couple of hours. I'll record it. And because of AI, now I can make that into a text without much hassle. From that, I can then work up a book. And at the end of the year, I'm going to present him his biography. Now, it was absolutely fascinating to do this interview. He was born in Berlin in 1943, like in the middle of the war with bombs landing. And his story is absolutely incredible. His mother was a German woman in Berlin, but the dad was American. And they met in Paris and had a love affair based at Fontainebleau. Can you believe it? During the war. So this is why Christian has always been up for peace. And he was born illegitimate. It was a wartime love affair. Anyway, I won't go into all the details, but I got them all from him, and it's going to be the first chapter of the book. And then I'm going to go through into why he got the idea of restarting the Delphic Games. and also the 7 or 8 meetings they've had around the world. He's pulled this off in the last 20 years. They've had a load of Delphic games. And then there was a huge conflict because Russia tried to take control of the games. I'm going to go into all that and get his side of the story. Talking about politics, Sally, they tried to take control. And in fact, they've set up their own rival Delphic games, so I'm gonna get the story of all this and write it up as a historian, because I think it's valuable, because I believe in Delphi, and that whole Delphic ideal, know thyself. Yes, the other thing I discovered this last period I want to report on is about Aristotle, because we know he went to the Delphic site after it caught fire, and he was asked to write up the story of the Delphic games from the ashes, because the archives all burned. That's why we don't know much about them. So dear old Aristotle, I discovered, I didn't know this before, I was doing some research, he left a will, which is extant. Can you believe it? Aristotle's will. And he insisted that a statue be set up in Delphi in honor of his wife's father. This is such a lovely story. His wife, called Pythias, was the daughter of Hermias, who was a ruler in a little city-state in what is now Turkey, which gave succor to all the philosophers that had to flee Athens when they killed Socrates. And Aristotle went and lived there and married the guy's daughter. And then he moved on and got a cushy job teaching Alexander the Great in Macedonia. But so it's little snippets like that. I think, gosh, Aristotle loved Delphi enough to pay for a statue to his wife's father, who was himself a philosopher. Now, of course, that statue is probably long gone. I don't know. But that's the kind of reason I'm bothering with the Delphic Games. It's to recover this lost history. And what else? So, oh yes, the other thing that's quite interesting, on the 23rd of October, I spoke at a conference called Uniting for Peace it was on Zoom, run by Vijay, who is an Indian guy who lives in London. And he's brilliant. He runs this international peace network. I don't know if, Sean, if you've ever been to these meetings. He has them. I mean, I've spoken at the live one in Islington a few years back, and also one in Scotland. And actually, Vijay came over to my Truth and Reconciliation Commission for Britain and Ireland in Belfast. I think, Sean, you came up to that and you met him.
Yes, yeah.
That's going back a ways. That must be at least 20 years ago. So he's still going strong. He's amazing. And I met a whole bunch of really interesting people online. I was like one of the keynote speakers. And one of them wanted to come tonight, who is a Dutch woman based in The Hague doing peace activism stuff. She couldn't make it, sadly, because she's giving a talk tonight somewhere else. But so, it's been pretty full on. And about Peace Gardens, I've got a few things to update people on, but we'll come to those later in the agenda. We've got a section on possible new Peace Gardens. We'll come to that in a minute. So let's have a little go round. Are you guys able to share at all as you're driving, Sean?
Yes, yeah. We're just pulling in now in the next 5 minutes or less, and then we'll be.
Okay, then you'll be able to share an update. Okay, fine. Well, let's hear from Sally first then. Tell us what you've been up to, Sally, and how's the gardens in Sussex going? What are you plotting?
Well, as ever, I feel you'll have to excuse the bangs. It's all going off here. As ever, I've just been really, really busy with my forest school stuff, and
teaching what age group for that?
So it's early years. I do early years for half the week, and then I've got which is 2.5 to 5. Okay. And then I've got a 7-year-old to 11-year-old group with quite a lot of special needs and a Down syndrome child. And for the early years group. We're currently working on, it's Kindness Week next week. So we're currently working on creating, well, really my work there is educating city children in how to be sustainable and how to create crafts and artwork out of what we have in our environment rather than going out and buying stuff. So of course at the moment it's all autumnal based. And what I'm really working on is educating them and my colleagues in how to connect the children to nature and how to, and it's not through being intellectual with that age group. It's about singing, it's about craft work, it's about stories, it's about the magic, and really bringing the magic and the care and the nurturing and the compassion to the little creatures that are around us, to the snails, to the plants, to the trees. We sing to the trees. I have this wonderful book which is written by Anna Richardson, and she's actually got she runs an organization which is called the Children's Forest, and she has quite a big she has many groups, and it's about planting trees, and that's what they do. They plant trees and they educate children about planting trees, and they educate children about nature through song and inspirational activities. So that's really what I've been doing with my more, shall we say, mainstream group. And at the moment, we're working on a community project where we make crafts without spending any money. And we're going to get the local community to buy the crafts and then give that money to a charity. And alongside that, they'll also they donate, the community donate whatever they can in food, and we give that to a homeless shelter. So those are the projects from that group. And then the other group is a Steiner-based group, and they're amazing. They just really they've really got this connection to the earth, and that's where the yurt is. So having the yurt up now is going to, well, first of all, it's going to keep us dry throughout the winter because we don't have an indoor space. So, so that's good, especially with all of the rain that we've had recently. So, as I said, I was really looking forward to the possibility of having a World Peace Garden at East Brighton Park, because that's where Whitehawk is, and that's one of the biggest that is the biggest council estate in Brighton and Hove. So it would have been great to have a World Peace Garden there.
Well, don't lose hope that
we shall see.
Happen.
Yeah, we shall.
Don't mention the legal stuff. That's
that
frightens people off.
Yeah, no, this is it. Yeah. So that's
I think I'm a legal minimalist. I think that's a phrase.
Well, I should have spoken to you before I sent that text, Thomas. That's the thing, because I just needed a solid concrete answer from her, because she was kind of beating around the bush for a long time. And I thought I'd give her the reality of the situation. And you're right, I might have scared her off.
Yeah.
But anyway, either way, wherever I land, and once that project is up and running, then I can definitely look at a peace garden somewhere.
Well, that would be good, because that's where I used to play as a kid.
Park. Yeah.
And Sophie used to go there all the time. So
she did, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right, Sean. Are you with us now? Hello.
Yeah. Sorry about this now, but we are traveling, and sorry. Hello, Sally. We haven't met. I'm here with Marion as well, Thomas. So
greetings.
It was great to hear what you were saying there, how much what you've been doing over the since we talked before.
Sure. Well, I keep up my. Yeah. So you're not at home. You've parked somewhere.
Yeah, we're down the west coast of Ireland, and we're just heading back. So we were down there for a few days. So we just didn't want to miss the meeting, but we're just in the middle of nowhere. So can I make my report?
Do your report now. That'd be great. Yeah, you've got quite a good signal. We can hear you.
Yeah, sorry, it's more political. It's political, but there is a thing about a peace garden which we want to really run past you, Thomas.
Okay.
As you know, there was been an election in Ireland, and we elected a new president. And a number of the peace organisations last year went to this independence TD, NMP, and we actually asked her to run. So she is very much in the peace camp in relation to other leaders around Europe at the moment. We're really lucky. The issue is that the Irish president doesn't have very much power. She's a figurehead. But I mean, we're delighted. Every peace movement in Ireland is falling over themselves. It's very unusual to get a victory like this. So she will be in this house called Áras an Uachtaráin, which is the White House it's the house. It is an official house in the main, just outside Dublin.
Right. And she gets a free house for 5 years.
She gets a free house, but for 7 years. So,
right.
And what her main thing then is to meet ambassadors and when they are presented and main heads of state when they come. So we're going to ask her, can she put a peace garden into Áras an Uachtaráin, into a small part of Áras an Uachtaráin? So every head of state that comes to Ireland will go to see a peace garden, whether it works or not. But we'll need your help and whoever else when we won't do it for a month or two because she's under a lot of pressure. She hasn't been officially coronated in our.
When does she start? When does she take up her office?
In about a week's time, she'll be going into the Áras an Uachtaráin. But I mean, she's still not under a lot of pressure because of her views against war and against NATO and against German armament, rearmament. I mean, really, it's been a very dirty campaign. But she got a resounding vote from the people of Ireland, 60-something%. So we're very very hopeful that this is a breakthrough because it will reflect. It shows that it can be done. That people who are against wars are much more powerful than the governments who seem to favour the wars. And if that can take off in France and Germany and places like that, it will be a major step forward. And the idea of the peace garden came to our mind. In this, Áras an Uachtaráin has gardens. And why not dedicate a section of that as a peace garden?
The house, the Áras an Uachtaráin, is the residence of the president, and it's actually in the Phoenix Park, which is a huge park just outside of the city.
Yeah.
So yes, and she's very outspoken, and people already know her views. People around the world. So, for example, the Israelis don't like her, so peacemakers all around the world have celebrated her election because they know that she's outspoken. She's also the guardian of the Constitution, and our foreign policy is in the Constitution, and it's a foreign policy of peace and peacekeeping. And so the one bill that we're expecting to be brought before her is the bill to remove the triple lock, which is the system that obliges us only to send soldiers abroad on UN mandates. And our government wants to remove the UN mandate so that they can go into coalitions of the willing. And so the government are going to have to write a bill to remove the triple lock. And that bill has to go before the president for signing.
And she can veto it, right?
She can refer it to the Supreme Court to test its constitutionality. And at least
I don't think it would pass. I mean, it wouldn't pass because it's in the Constitution, isn't it?
Yes,
Well, there's a case. There certainly is a strong case to keep the triple lock.
And you call it a triple lock because it's not just the UN mandate. It's got to be passed by Parliament.
Yes.
And it's got to be...
the two houses,
something else.
Yeah, the triple in it is the two houses of the Irish government, the upper house and the lower house. And it has got to be on a mission mandated by the UN. That's the third part of the triple lock. And they want to remove the third part. But the two houses of the Oireachtas usually are within the grip of the two main parties. And those two main parties want to join coalitions of the willing, which would undermine our neutrality.
Sure. So anyway, the people have spoken, and I think it's great to hear that voice from you. I've got a bit of feedback I can give you, which since you're online, I'll just share this with you. So I don't remember if I've told you this before, but you know that I've been campaigning for a European Union mediation service since 2008. I thought
yes,
European Union should have peacemaking facilities, and unfortunately, they haven't really responded. And when I suggested to the British government that we take a lead and propose it, the British government, which was then a Tory government, its response was to create Brexit, which was a kick in the teeth. You know, I think they did it personally against me to insult me, right? So instead of I wanted to turn the EU into a peace agency, right? Instead of that, they weaponized the whole thing with Brexit. And since then, it's been absolute chaos. So anyway, I've thought of a counterattack. This came to me recently, and I want to share this. It's relevant to Ireland. I discovered something very exciting. There's been a new astronomical discovery, and there's a thing called the European Space Agency, which I didn't know existed, but I've researched it all, and it's all the European nations, including Ireland, but also the UK and France and Germany and Italy. They're all members of the European Space Agency. It's like NASA, right? Mm-hmm. And what we've done is we have a telescope up in the sky above the Lagrange point, which was named after a French mathematician. And it's a place on the Earth's orbit which is perpetually in darkness. So this telescope rotates in the dark as the Earth turns. And this means it can get absolutely brilliant, telescope images of the universe. And for the last few years, it's been doing, and it's a really, really powerful telescope, the Gaia telescope. It's been making absolutely amazing sky maps of the galaxy. And I heard about it because it's just released through the European Space Agency, a 3D map of the galaxy, focusing on places where new stars have been born. And it's amazing. It's on their website. You know, I'll send a link for you to watch. Now, that's an example of the creative use of science, you know, mapping the galaxy, right? Now, this European Space Agency has got a budget of several billions every year. Every European nation is a member, including the UK. Don't tell Nigel Farage, but they've never left it, you know. And we collaborate on really good science. So I've thought of a project, which is that I want now to create a European peace agency modeled on the European Space Agency with an identical budget. So whatever the ESA gets every year, we're going to say we want the same for the European Peace Agency. And all the European nations that are members of the European Space Agency would automatically be invited to join. That's all of them. And I will argue that it's as important to pay funding towards spying, looking out where peace is, as it is to map galaxies. Mm. I love science, and it's really important to do astronomy. I would argue it's even more important to do peace, because if we blow up this planet, this home planet, that's the end of astronomy. All the space work shuts down, you know, until we can grow new human beings out of amoebae or whatever we'd be reduced to. So that's my project. And I think it should be in Dublin. In the paperwork, I'm going to suggest Dublin hosts the European Peace Agency, or somewhere in Ireland.
We'd love that.
Yes.
Because of what you've done, and the people of Ireland are committed to peace. You're a neutral country. You just reasserted that. And I will write in, you know, through you and with your help to the president and say, look, here's this project. And she could then sort of push it through all the channels, you know. So what do you think of that project?
That's brilliant, Thomas. Yeah, it's really given.
Fabulous.
Yeah, fabulous. They're the sort of things we should be aiming towards.
Yes.
No, I mean, we will certainly coordinate, you know, cooperate with it, because it's one that will take a bit of thinking out how we should do it. But there's a lot of possibilities there.
I think the potential, and the point of the European Peace Agency is it would be neutral. It wouldn't take sides in wars. Its duty, its mandate would be to end wars. Yes. Wherever they break out on planet Earth. especially on the frontiers of Europe, but not only. I mean, in the Sudan, in the Middle East, in Gaza, and it would have the budget to actually do the necessary research, send in teams, do the mediation work that I'd wanted the original EUMS to do, and that's proved incapable because the European Union's become too political. Take sides. It's for this faction and against that faction. Whereas the European Space Agency, Peace Agency, would be like a scientific body that would look at holistic solutions. So anyway, that's the plan. I just wanted to tell you that because I'm excited about this project.
It sounds fabulous.
Yeah, there's another connection. Just since we talked to you last, and I don't know, Sally won't know, but we buried our time capsule. This is the one we launched last year.
Sure.
And we buried it in the original castle, Redwood Castle. But our connection to Redwood is to Birr Castle, which is just up the road from Redwood. And at one stage, Birr Castle had the biggest telescope. Lord Ross was an amateur in 18 something, and it's still there. They recreated it. So I'm just wondering if that's because they have that astronomical background. Maybe that, and I think the people in the castle are very open to possibility. So that's a possibility as well. Because
in Redwood, so there's still a telescope in Birr Castle up the top.
From 18, whatever year it was in 1890 or something, this Lord Ross, I mean, he would be Anglo-Irish. He had the biggest telescope. It's a huge thing that needs a big gantry to turn it around, but it was there. Sure. And it's still there. It's been renovated. I'm just thinking.
Well, I'm sure. For those people that like synchronicities, we could say it's a sign.
It's a sign.
The project is a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well, I think that's very exciting, and thank you for that report, and thanks for and what was the story? You said that the Irish peace movement went to see her when she was just an MP and persuaded her to stand. What was were you involved in that, or bunch of
we were yes, we sent a delegation of 3 people from a number of organizations, a network of peace organizations, and they met her twice about a year ago. And no, it wasn't. I mean, she may have been thinking about it as well, but we were the presidential election was on the cards. It was coming up, and the two main parties were putting forward their views.
Right.
Nodding donkey. So we wanted somebody that but she's
you've gone
to do with the peace issues and rearmament of Europe and all this. So there was a lot of criticism.
Hey, you've done really well. Can I just say your voice is breaking up? You've gone into sonic freefall. You've gone into sonic freefall.
Okay, well, listen, we might drop out and just listen into the rest then, if that's okay.
Yeah, the bandwidth is low, is what it's saying, but we won't go on much longer. But thank you for the report. That's really brilliant. Okay, so I just want to do a quick financial report. I was hoping Frederick was coming, but he's not. Naughty boy. So this is the bank statements I picked up in Brighton from Sophie's address. She was our treasurer. And we have 90 quid in the bank. Brilliant. And that's jolly good. Except I note, I don't know why, Lloyds Bank are going to start charging us £4 a month just to have the account charges, monthly charges. I don't know. Are all banks now charging just, even if you just have a bit of money and it does nothing, they kind of now take out money? I don't know. It seems, or should we try and get a bank that doesn't charge? I mean, it's a lot, when you're a small little charity like us. But anyway, that's that. The other thing I want to say about that is possible peace gardens. Yes, some exciting news on this front. So Frederick was in Guernsey, And I've got my eye on the Victor Hugo Museum in Guernsey. It's called the Maison de Hauteville. It was his house. And when he left France and went into exile in Guernsey, because it's part of the UK, that's the only house he ever owned, actually. He lived there for over 17 years. And it's a museum, and I've been round it. Has anyone else been round it in Guernsey? It's worth a visit if you're in the Channel Islands. And he planted an oak tree in the garden dedicated to world peace. And old Victor Hugo was a real peace activist, as well as being a novelist and a poet. He wrote 1,000 poems. He was a real believer in peace, and he chaired a very historic meeting in Geneva. They invited all the peace thinkers of Europe to come, and they wrote to Karl Marx, who wrote a very rude letter back saying, no, I'm not coming to a peace meeting. I don't believe in peace. I believe in revolution and armed struggle and victory to the working classes, which is a classic exchange. I'm with Victor Hugo. I think we should be having peace, not, much as I like romantic socialism, I think one shouldn't use violence for it. So anyway, long story short, Victor Hugo Museum in Guernsey has a fantastic garden with this oak tree in it for world peace, which he planted. And Frederick and I have contacted the owner. Now it's owned by the Museums of Paris, because Victor Hugo left it in his will to the Museums of Paris, or somehow it got into the ownership. So it would have to go to a board of the Association of Paris Museums. And I've written a letter and emailed it to the organizers of that. And we'll wait back and hear. But it would be really good if we can get it as a member garden for all kinds of reasons. So what else? I think that's the main stuff I wanted to say. Any questions or comments? We'll do a final go round. Sally, yeah, go for it.
I'm just completely blown away by all of the work and the gosh, what is the word? Just the amazing, these meetings that you're having, and this incredible I'm at a loss for words, actually, when I hear about
well, you can do a song. You can do a song.
I can do a song.
Do one of your songs.
No, I won't do that right now, Thomas. Sure. But yeah.
Sophie was here, we could have finished with a song. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll think about that next time. Okay.
Okay.
I'll think about a peace-inspired or nature-inspired song that we can end with. But yeah, no, all magic. I think my work is more sort of maybe, could you say, the ground roots with working with the young children in bringing a sense of harmony and peace to them in a very overstimulating, chaotic world. And I'll continue that work. And yeah, so yeah. And I don't know really what else you'd like. I mean, it's just wonderful to hear all the amazing work that you're doing, and I feel very blessed to be on this group.
Right, thank you. Can I just actually, you've reminded me there was any other business thing I wanted to share about plants. So I belong to the Scientific and Medical Network, which is a sort of high-level group set up in the late 70s. About scientific paradigms and how we have to change our thinking about nature. And there's brilliant book reviews by my friend David Lorimer. And there's this new book come out called Plantar Sapiens. We're Homo sapiens. This book is proposing that plants have their own wisdom. Plantar Sapiens. It's by a chap called Paco Calvo, who did a PhD at the University of Glasgow on consciousness and plants. And he's doing scientific experiments to kind of prove that plants have cognitive abilities, i.e. consciousness. And he's been attacked by the official materialistic scientists who say he's crazy, that all his work should be defunded. None of his papers should be published. They're going for him big time, like the scientific mafia. But he's holding his ground, and he's got his thesis. And he's saying, no, evidence proves. He has a laboratory called the MINT Lab, studying plant behavior, which is proving scientifically that plants are aware. They have consciousness. Now, the implications of this for gardens, is big, because it's not just a place we can go and be happy and smell the flowers and we humans enjoy it. We're doing it also for the plants, for the trees, because they enjoy it too. And it puts this whole idea of peace gardens in a slightly different kind of perspective. That maybe the consciousness of plants is at a point where they want to step forward and say, "Hoi, you humans have screwed up the world with your stupid weapons. We don't make weapons. We're plants. We have a different way of being." And so what you're doing with the kids is you're introducing them to the sort of the plant psyche, in a sense.
Yeah, and I think what I'm also doing is bringing them a peaceful, harmonious space to connect with nature and to really love and appreciate nature and make that a priority, not all of this crazy political competition that we're having and disrespect. It's about respect and honor. And it's interesting that you say that, because there was also this, of course, I mean, I don't know about you, but I certainly know that plants have, in fact, I would say to an extent, they have an intelligence that we could never achieve, and the ability to live symbiotically in a very natural way. There's, like I said earlier, in communities, it's difficult because people have big egos and they want more and more and more. Whereas plants don't. They work together really well. And so obviously, I mean, you've got the people, science is becoming aware now that trees actually communicate with each other. And especially the mycelium network is certainly becoming a big point of conversation, and there's a lot of awareness on that level as well. And what I found, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Thomas, the other day, was the which I'm quite interested in finding out. It's like where science and nature come together. Where does, because I'm not a great fan of science, because I don't. Yes, it has its place, but sometimes it also, science is now proving that, like a dandelion, they've proven that dandelion, I think it's gets rid of 80% of colon cancer cells in, I think it was 48 hours. And so slowly,
if you ingest a dandelion tea
as a medicine, I would imagine it would probably be more like a tincture. It would be more strong. I could find it and I can send it to you if you like. So that, and there's more and more awareness. I will do. And there's more and more awareness of, which obviously the pharmaceutical companies are not very happy about, because they've been trying to keep herbal medicine at bay. But on my plot, we've got loads of hogweed, which is deadly. It gives you massive blisters, which are reoccurring for 2 weeks. So that shows that if plants can be that powerful in their poison, because some plants can kill you, then they also have the opposite of the medicinal uses, which in some cases is actually stronger than the traditional medicine. So not to diss traditional medicine, because it also has its place. And then the other thing I just wanted to touch on, which I'm finding very fascinating, is where, like I was saying, where people and our intellectual abilities meet the plant world, is where there's something which is called, and there's actually 5 of them, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is a place where all of the currents in the ocean or in the sea come together, and all the plastic grows there. And there's actually an island of plastic which is bigger than I think it's Britain. I think it's actually Britain.
Blimey.
It's bigger. It's actually an island, and it goes right down to the bottom of the ocean.
Oh,
Now
no.
they have discovered that there's a fungi that is able and is proactively eating plastic. So it's biodegrading the plastic for us. So even nature is working towards helping us, or trying to bless it. You know, I feel so sad when I see how hard it's trying to get on top of the destruction that we're causing. So this mycelium, it's a fungi, I forget what it's called, I'll have a look. What the scientists have done is they've discovered that it's breaking down the plastic, and they've gone and put I was reading the other day on, I think it's a very commendable site, that they're putting in more and more of this fungi into the garbage patch to see how quickly it can degrade or degenerate the plastic. And they found that if they have enough, they're working out the quantities of how much they need to grow this fungi, and then it can actually break down the plastic at the same rate as what we're using it. So this is where I have like real faith in one aspect of a symbiotic relationship that we can have with our intelligence and plant intelligence, where it might come together and work as one. Yeah. So
thank you so much for that. And if you think about it, if you extend that to the, why is it that plant compounds can heal humans? And I'm a great believer in herbal medicine, and I've seen it in operation. And, plants produce incredibly sophisticated substances which can cure all kinds of stuff. There's the famous story of the guy in Brazil who designed these living pharmacies. He grew 500 plants that the shamans told him in the jungle in South America, in Brazil. And he then went back and grew them in the lab in his university. And with those 500 plants, he could cure 99% of all diseases that Brazilians get without any need for pharmacy, big pharma. And those have been replicated. It's called the living pharmacy. So most Brazilian cities have one of these living pharmacies where they literally grow their medicines. Now, why is that possible? And I think what I'm thinking is, if you step back and look at this philosophically, nature in the form of the plant is producing our medicines for these animals, and humans are one of them, as healing compounds, which is magical, and in medieval herbalism, in the old, medieval universities where they studied this stuff, like Montpellier and places, they would say it's because of God's divine intelligence. If you ask a medieval monk why this medicine works, he'd say, well, it's God designed it like that. I think there's an argument to use that language. Why not? Modern science says, no, that's ridiculous. There's no such thing as God. But to me, I think if we allow the hypothesis of a divine intelligence, then obviously it's working through all of nature, not just humans. It's working through the little plankton. It's working through every plant, every tree, and every animal. That makes more sense to me. And let's call it the divine intelligence.
But it can also be, sorry to interrupt, Thomas, it can also be that it is literally because plants are able to, because of their intelligence, they are able to work and have a symbiotic relationship with their environment. And what was supposed to happen, if you want to leave God out the equation, because sometimes that, that causes controversy, but like that actually they are trying to work in a symbiotic way with us. And this is what we need to stop wanting more and more and more and more and more, and taking, destroying, but learn to speak their language, which the shamans could, which the tribal, which the indigenous people could. And that is why people like in Brazil, where they can, because that is full of indigenous people, and they're able to still they're still able to communicate with the plants in the way that that we've lost, basically. Yeah.
Well, not all of us. I met a few magical medicine people in Wales when I was there.
Well, Sophie could. Sophie could. She could communicate with plants. She was one of the special ones.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's very exciting. Sean, did you want to say something? You were coming in there briefly.
Yes, we just thought you might find it entertaining that we recently had a programme on Irish television about holy wells, because all over Ireland we have holy wells where you know that the well in such and such a place is good for sore eyes, the well in such another place is good for headaches and whatever else. And what they've discovered is they went to one of the holy wells which had the cure for headaches, and they found that actually the plants that surround that well contain aspirin. So the aspirin was actually in the water, and that's how they were sally trees, I think, and they make aspirin. And
that's right.
So they were absolutely right, the ancients. That well cured headache.
Right.
But it had aspirin in it.
Sure.
So
well, yeah, I mean, science is just catching up, really, by working out what the ancient grandmothers already knew. So thanks for that. No, that's really important. I just want to end with one last thought. I want to just thank the American people for voting in a mayor in New York. I think the politics of peace is, we shouldn't forget. And we've been living through this disastrous Trump era. But I think it's on the turn. I think it's on the mend. This chap who's just been elected is the first ever Muslim, senior Muslim, position. He's from Uganda. He was of Indian origin, and his mother made the film Monsoon Wedding, which is one of my favorite ever Bollywood movies. It's an amazing movie, and it's his mother made it. So he's a sort of Indian Muslim who was born in South Africa, and he's a real intellectual. His dad is a professor at the University of Columbia, an expert on kind of peace and all kinds of stuff, economics and development. So I think we can look to New York to as a sign of peace. And then I've got this thought: if we can get Victor Hugo's garden in our network, I want to suggest that we should aim for sort of the gardens of philosophers as a thing, right? Now, Thomas Jefferson in the States, who was one of their best philosophers, has left us this estate called Monticello, which has a huge garden. And if we get a green light from Victor Hugo, I'm going to write to the Monticello estate and say, hey, will you join our Peace Gardens network? Because of Thomas Jefferson's, vision. And it's coming up to the 250th anniversary, apparently, of the American Declaration of Independence, which he wrote. And then there's a garden in Jena dedicated around the house where Fichte lived, another great German philosopher, who Rudolf Steiner did his doctoral thesis on, by the way, Sally. There's a place in Stuttgart where Hegel had a house, and that's a museum. There's a museum in Königsberg where Kant lived, and so on. So like let's go for the houses of these sages. And then there's Plato's garden, the original garden of the Academy in Athens, which Pyrrhus can link us into. He can't join us today, he's in Rome at a conference. So what do people think about that? Let's go for the intellectuals, philosophers' gardens.
Yeah, great.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Gardens of thought.
Yeah, gardens of thought. It might put us on the map. Maybe, can you think of a couple of Irish, there must be at least one Irish philosopher that we can find who's left us a garden and a museum or something.
Well, we actually have a well of knowledge in Ireland that goes back to between 2,000 and 4,000 BC. 2,000 to 4,000 years ago, and
Where
in this
is that?
well, it's actually in Carbery, just a short drive out from where we live.
Okay.
And it was the well of knowledge because it was surrounded by hazelnut trees, and the hazelnuts contained all the knowledge of all the world.
Yeah.
And they used to fall into the stream there, and the fish in the stream were the salmon of knowledge. And if you ate the salmon of knowledge, then you got the knowledge of all things. So that's still there. We know exactly where it is. And in fact, the River Boyne comes from the well of knowledge, because the king was allowed to go to the well, but the well wouldn't allow anyone else to come near. And the queen got jealous, and Queen Boann, and she went to the well, and the well threw water at her, and she became terribly disfigured. And she said, I can't allow the world to see me like this. So she threw herself into the well to die, but instead of dying, she flowed out the other side as the River Boyne. So we have a well of knowledge. So that could be a good location.
Well, that would be a good peace garden. Has it got a garden around the well?
No, it hasn't. But I believe it's still surrounded by hazelnut trees.
Oh, it's lovely. That is a lovely story. It was so nice if you could get a garden where there's such a symbolic folklore story. I love that. I love that.
Okay, well, try for that one. See if you can do some research on it, Marion.
I think I know the people who believe that the well on their land is actually the well of knowledge. They tell me it's there and it's surrounded by hazel trees. But it is actually an ancient story, and it did happen in that particular part of the world.
I know the story, and Finn McCool, I believe, had some of that salmon, which is why
Finn McCool was on placement with a wise old man. He was sent to live with a wise sage at one stage as part of his apprenticeship. And the wise man brought him to the well and said, I want to catch a salmon and have it for my dinner. So he said he caught a salmon and he had it on the fire cooking, and the fire was burning down. So the wise man said to Finn McCool, I'll go and get some more wood, but on no account are you to eat my salmon before I come back. But when the man was gone, a big bubble rose up on the flesh of the salmon as it was cooking, and Finn burst the bubble with his thumb, but he burnt his thumb and stuck it in his mouth. So when the wise man came back, he said, is my fish cooked? And Finn said, yes. And if your meal tastes as good as my thumb, you're going to have a delicious meal. So the wise man knew that Finn had tasted the salmon before him. So Finn had all the knowledge of the world. And in order to access that knowledge, he had to stick his thumb in his mouth.
Sure.
That's the story.
Yeah, I know this story. And it's very similar to the story of Taliesin, who was the Welsh equivalent, the first great bard of Britain. He did a similar story, almost identical, with Ceridwen, bubbling a fire up for a year and a day, and then got a drop of that cauldron on his finger and licked it. And it's the same story. And in my Encyclopedia of Druid Studies, I've gone into all that. And today I was working on the book called I don't know how to pronounce it in Irish, but it's the Lebor Gabala, the Book of Invasions.
Oh, yeah.
How would you say that in Irish?
I don't know the name of it in Irish. What is it? The Book of Invasions? On Lower. I don't know. On Lower something.
Well, anyway, it's the Lebor Gabala. And it tells the story of all these ancient druids, and Finn McCool and all that. So we should take heart, I think. The work we're doing with this World Peace Gardens network, it looks not very significant, we're not doing much, but actually we're stirring a big pot, which is bubbling the cauldron of magic potions for the future, if civilization is going to survive. That's what we're doing.
Because the hazel poles also, they actually they use them as to find hidden streams.
Yeah, divining rods.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and there is a little song that I wish I was just looking now for the lyrics, because I know that there's a song that this Anna Richardson does about the hazels, and she does have the wisdom in her song, but The chorus goes like this. I'll sing it if you like.
Do.
Sure.
But it hasn't got the wisdom in it. It just goes, Hazel, Hazel. Hang on. Hazel, Hazel, merry little fellow, flowers red and catkins yellow, in summer dance in your cap of green, show me the source to the hidden stream.
Yeah.
That's the chorus, and then it goes on and on about the wisdom and that I should.
That's
Well,
beautiful. Maybe
the Philosopher's Gardens should all have a hazelnut tree in them.
Sure. Good. Okay. Well, maybe we could find the words and sing it next time. End our meeting. That'd be lovely. Okay. Look, I think we'll finish there. Has anyone else got any last thoughts of wisdom? Sean and Marion, any final thoughts?
No.
But we will follow up with that initiative that you're talking about.
Yeah, the European Peace Agency.
Yes.
I'm going to be working on the text of it. I'll send you a draft. You can comment or whatever. And I'll put in the World Peace Gardens and various other things because it would be a funding agency as well, the European Peace Agency, and it would give to groups like all the different peace groups who always struggle for money. It's ridiculous. Whereas the military get millions for all their nefarious activities. So anyway, that's the plan. I'll send you a link. Yeah. Okay, Sally, last thoughts. Can I just ask you a question? So the project of the Saltdean house and all that, can you give me an update on that stuff?
So we've had the estate agents around and I mean basically we've got a price for it and we're going to have to get it on the market soon, very soon, because our financial situation is not we can't wait very much longer, so
right
don't really. But anyway, so we had the estate agents round. It's valued at between 550 and 600,000, and we shall see what happens. We haven't actually signed anyone up as yet.
Right.
So
okay.
that's where we're at now.
We'll talk separately about that and whether, what we were thinking is if the World Peace Gardens Network can somehow manifest a whole bunch of dosh, if we could fundraise and buy this freehold, and then it would be a base. And it's a marvelous location, and it's a house that was purpose built by George, that's Sally's husband. So it's a beautiful house, all designers sort of features and things. And I think that I don't see why we shouldn't put a fundraising document together. And then you guys can stay there. World Peace Garden gets a base. What's not to like? And there's a garden and there's beautiful views and it's right on the channel and all that stuff. So
absolutely. Let's talk about that outside of this. Let's get, maybe in the next week or so, we can look at getting a proposal together and find ways.
Try and put a fundraising document together so that we could actually, you don't have to move out and, talk of the devil, Carolyn's just appeared. A bit late. Carolyn, hello. Nice to see you. You just made it in time for the end of the meeting. We're just finishing. How are you, Carolyn? How's life? You'll have to unmute. We can't hear you. No, you have to press something on the screen to make the microphone thing start behaving. Looks like you're in a restaurant or a bar or something.
Yeah. Here we are. Yeah. No, I'm on Regent Street in London waiting for the bus. And I've been on Oxford Street and there was no way that I was going to be able to talk to you. I'm sorry. It was just mayhem around here. So
well, don't worry. We've had a really good meeting. I'll send you the link.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad. Okay.
And we'll send you the link. You can catch up later.
Okay. Yeah.
Ciao.
Are you ending the meeting now, or
Well,
shall we
pretty
end the
much.
meeting
Yeah, we
now?
just
Okay.
literally were finishing.
Oh.
So you just joined us. At
Oh,
the
okay,
end.
okay. Alrighty. Should I sign out? Should I?
It's
say
all right. I'm going
goodbye?
to shut it down. So
Okay.
look, lots of love to everyone.
Oh, yeah, you're
and
gonna.
keep smiling.
Yeah. Hello, everyone, and apologies. And yes, yeah. Hold the space for the
problem.
peace. Yes. Okay. Cheers.
you.
Bye.
Bye
Okay,
bye.
good.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye bye.